All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a deeply existential thought experiment presented in the source material, Tragedy of Immortals. We constantly hear about the quest for eternal youth, the fountain of life, all that stuff, right? It's human nature to want just a little more time. But what if you actually got it? Like, forever? Well, in this scenario, living forever absolutely isn't a gift. It's actually a psychological prison.
And the terrifying cost of that prison really comes down to memory. The source material puts it perfectly, saying, the alternative, to retain everything, is the specific mechanism of the madness that took Samuel in 1847. He was carving names into his own skin. I mean, just imagine that for a second. To survive centuries, these immortal beings literally cannot afford to have a perfect memory. Because if they remember every single person, every love, every devastating loss, it literally shatters their minds.
Section 1. The burden of forever.
So to understand how characters like Maya even survive this, we have to look at the stark paradox between us and them. As mortals, our condition is, well, it's brief, right? We spend our entire life seeking a legacy, building monuments to ourselves, and, let's be honest, fearing death. But the immortal condition? It's endless. They are actively forced to forget things just to survive the sheer weight of the years, and their ultimate fear isn't death at all. It's continuation. It completely flips our core human drives totally upside down.
And when you actually stack up their lifespans, the crushing scale of what they endure becomes super clear. You have Gabriel, who's considered the youngest immortal, and he's been enduring 137 years of uninterrupted grief for his lost mortal family. Maya? She's survived over 428 years through sheer disciplined numbness, and Thomas endured 423 years before he finally found a way out. We're not talking about a few bad decades here. This is centuries of compounding trauma. It proves exactly why they are so desperate for an ending.
Section 2. The impossible revelation.
The group's entire frozen reality shatters when they find out their ancient companion, Thomas, actually managed to die. He leaves behind this letter with a devastating final message for his former companions. He writes, "I want you to know first that this was not a failure. This was not a tragedy. This was success." After over 4 centuries of existence, he views everything else as basically a failure dressed up as endurance. Ending his own life wasn't a tragedy to him, it was his only true, undeniable triumph.
Section 3. Mechanics of the method.
So how does an immortal being actually stop existing? Think about the real-world immortal jellyfish, right? It constantly reverts and repairs its cells to cheat death. If your biology violently repairs itself from any injury on a loop like that, how do you die? Well, through old medical archives, specifically Dr. Commer's 1923 case notes, another immortal named Marcus uncovers the secret. It relies on the witness guide. This is a loved one who holds the psychological space for an immortal's consciousness to release its claim on existence. The method isn't a poison or a weapon, it's deeply psychological. It requires a partner whose loving presence literally makes the rigid boundary between life and death permeable.
Dr. Comer called this the intersection method, and it's a very strict 3-step ritual. Step 1, unambiguous consent of the dying person. Step 2, enduring a conscious, agonizing, hours-long dissolution of the self. And step 3, which is definitely the most crucial, the execution must be performed by someone who loves them. It creates this horrific yet honestly beautiful paradox, where the ultimate act of true love equates to euthanizing your partner.
We see the emotional precedent for this with Thomas and his mortal partner, Marguerite. They shared a 47-year partnership. When Marguerite was dying of cancer, she actually taught Thomas how to finally let go. Her journals revealed she knew his secret, and in her own dying days, she chose to help him prepare to escape. It's kind of remarkably similar to how mortals sometimes have to give a dying loved one permission to let go, just taken to an eternal extreme. It proves that love, when entirely stripped of the promise of a future, is capable of incredibly terrible, yet deeply beautiful acts.
Section 4. The ritual of completion.
So this whole theoretical debate among the surviving immortals becomes chillingly real when Iris steps forward. The characters clinically debate their own demises. Gabriel argues from the standpoint of 137 years of uninterrupted suffering. Marcus argues for death because he's hit an absolute intellectual plateau. He's just stopped growing. But it's Iris, who has simply reached a natural spiritual endpoint, who possesses the absolute clarity and peace to actually commit to stepping into the void.
6. For 6 unimaginable hours behind closed doors, Iris endures this conscious dissolution, and Chen, who bravely stepped up to be our witness guide, sits with her, guiding her consciousness away, holding that space of love. At the end of those 6 agonizing hours, the healing factor fails. The biology simply stops. Her immortal body dissolves, eventually cremated into nothing but ash, which Gabriel then scatters into the Vltava River.
Section 5. The weight of survivors.
The story doesn't end with her ashes. Before her death, Iris perfectly articulated this central tragedy. The cost is paid by the people left behind. The cost is distributed among those who remain, because they have to live with knowing what they permitted. See, when mortals view euthanasia, they see it as a medical mercy with an endpoint, because the survivors eventually pass away too. But immortals? Chen and the others must carry the psychological burden of her death for centuries. It's literally like caregiver burnout stretched into infinity, a permanent psychological scar.
What happens next is a devastating domino effect. The method's undeniable success completely fractures the group. Gabriel, terrified of this new culture of chosen death, flees Prague. Marcus decides his time is up, requesting his own dissolution. And Maya is forced to act as Marcus's witness guide, completing his ritual. Once Marcus is gone, Maya is left in that apartment, utterly and completely alone with the ghosts of what she's done.
But then, in a poignant twist, Maya receives a letter. It's from Chen. He announces he's returning to Prague. He writes, "We become people who carry weight for each other. We become a community of witnesses." Chen realizes that isolation just isn't the answer to what they've done. Actually, scratch that. It's that the only way to survive immortality isn't by running from the trauma, but by bearing the terrible weight of ending each other together.
It completely turns the whole concept of eternal companionship into a pact fueled by profound, terrible love, leaving you with this haunting thought. If the ultimate act of love is helping someone you care about disappear forever, could you carry that weight? I mean, what is the true nature of connection when eternity eventually forces you to become a guide into the void? I really want you to think about that. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.